Hey traders, John Howell here, and in today's video I've got a very big jam-packed video for you today. I'm going to be talking about the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, some patterns I've seen on a short-term basis like the 4-hour and the 5-hour charts on the futures markets, and why I see a potential, even at just a short-term pullback, happening probably over the next couple of days when it comes to that, but I need to see something confirmed and I'll share that with you. I'm going to talk about Apple. I'm also going to talk about AG as well too. A lot of people have been thinking, well, the mining's going up. Why isn't AG going up? I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to talk about oil, what's going with oil right now, Bitcoin, XRP, and Litecoin. Got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about with all this sort of stuff. So it's going to be a jam-packed session today. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, so let's get straight into it. But before I do start, guys, I have a lot of people asking me, John, how do you actually trade the markets? How do you scan the markets? How do you view the markets? What is your trading strategy? How do you actually trade the markets and all that sort of stuff? So what I'm doing right now is I'm running a free training for you. And on that free training, I'm going to walk you through all the details to my #1 trading strategy and how you can start to apply it to your own trading today. Very first thing in the description, click on that because I'm running that free training today. So make sure you join me on that free training. Click on the very first thing in the description below right now so you don't miss out. All right, traders, so one thing I want to talk about here and one thing I want to share that with you is not the actual indices itself, but the futures market, because there's something that I've been noticing here time and time again. So let me just bring this up through here. I'm going to be using the investing.com website to view this futures markets here. And the one thing that I'm seeing right now, look at this. This is the Dow Jones this is the Dow Jones futures here. I'm pretty sure it's the future. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I think it's the Dow Jones futures when it comes to that. So let me just go down to the 5-hour chart. But look what's happening here right now, okay? We're not really on a short-term basis. Look what we're doing here, right? We had a big run up, a pullback, a lackluster run up. Notice how we couldn't actually break above these highs through here, right? So notice how we couldn't actually break above these highs through here. We ran up, double top, came down, came some sort of lower low, and now we're at this level of support. So right now we're seeing a short-term drop. If I go to my hourly chart, you'll be able to see what's going on through here. If I squeeze this up, look at this here, right? We're starting to get a lot of weakness. So if we start to roll over on a short term, then we're probably likely to start to head back down towards these low levels down through here, which is probably going to cause a bit of a drop in the markets. Now that's not going to be much, but on a short-term basis, guys, that's what I'm seeing through there. Once again, look at that 5-hour chart, and you really start to see how it's really sort of it went from a double top to a lower high. Look at this here. So look at this here. We have a top, we have a double top. It failed, broke down. Now we created the lower high and we're breaking down now. So we're starting to see a lot of weakness over the last ever since basically the start of February, we're starting to see a lot of weakness and we actually broke down. And we're breaking down now. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we did see a bit of a rollover here and then a continuation on the downside. If I have a look at the S&P 500 as well too, that's doing sort of the same thing as well too. But look at this here, right? It's actually similar, but it's done a different pattern. Now look what's happening here. On a long term or on the 5-hourly chart, what can we see? Let me actually just do this. Let me do this right here. All right, let me just do... Where do we have? I'm trying to find. All right, where are you? Just trying to find something, basically like a box or something like that, square. All right, you know what? Forget that. Oh, geez, what was? No. Okay, cool. All right, I'm just going to do a horizontal to make it much easier. We can see how we have a very thick line through here, but look what's happening through here. Right? We ran up, made a higher low. We ran up, made a high, we made a higher low, but notice how we couldn't break past previous highs. And now we made a double top, and now we're breaking down. So now we're breaking down. You can start to see how that, if I bring up my trend line, you can start to see how that we're getting this sort of action through here, right? That sort of action through there, or we're possibly getting this sort of action coming on through to here, right? So something going on from there to there. That'll be the trend line, all right? So if I make that just a bit thicker as well, like that, we can see where it is right now, right? So we can see how we actually, remember this is a 5-hourly chart here, guys, right? So we ran up, made a high, a double top. See how we're squeezing up and squeezing up. So if this was a strong pattern, we should have broken up and out. Now we've broken down. Look what we just reversed and hit the resistance. So if we go to the daily chart right now, the hourly chart, look what happened. We broke back above here. This is why it's so important to always keep an eye on the higher time frame. I always tell my private clients that always, whenever we're trading the daily chart, check that weekly chart, like I'm doing here, right? 1 minute's like the daily chart, and the 5 hour is like the big picture. And look what's happening here. So if we continue to roll over through here, we're probably likely to see all this here. This is a lot of white space, so we're probably likely to start to see a movement down from there. And we can start to see how this market's rolled up, and now it's rolling up through. This is the daily chart now. Came up, we're slowly crawling up, and now we're sort of just where we are right now. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we did start to see a movement on the downside. And on a short-term basis, guys, we can see how we have this level all through here, which is this next major level. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the market did start to get down to that level there. Wow, that's actually a pretty big drop, isn't it? So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if the market did actually get down to there. There you go. We do have a little bit of support around that 3,200 level there, which is this level right here. This is a pretty major level of support or resistance, somewhere around about there. So it's probably going to we might get a roll. If we do get a rollover, which is happening right now, then we're probably likely to pause at that 33 and then maybe even continue down towards this 30, 31 on there. If I look at the weekly chart here and see what sort of long-term trend lines I can bring into this, if I bring this up through to here, okay, let me just do that. Let me just move this over. All right, we'll be able to bring this trend line up from there to there. This is the very long-term weekly trend line now. So see what I'm doing, guys? I'm layering this here. This is one of the most important skills you can do when you're learning to trade. You can have a good trading system, but if you don't layer these things that I'm talking about here right now, which is the higher time frame, go back to the daily chart. If we have a pullback here, we can see how even if we do get a pullback through to here, then we have a lot of this long-term support level. It's going to come into play, and then we have this level down through here as well too. Go back to that 5-hourly chart right now, and we can see that on a short-term basis, if we do drop down, then we're probably likely to start to see a lot of support through the level through there. If I do the exact same analysis, guys, on the US 30, like the exact same sort of detail to what I said there, we can see how that if we go to the horizontal trend line, we have the next major level of support, which is down through there. That's where the market's likely to run to. Let's go back to that daily chart right now, and you can see how that's through there as well too. If I go back to my weekly chart now and do the exact same thing I did on the S&P, we'll be able to start to see this sort of action coming on through to here. And then we have this daily chart through here. So even if we did, this is the Dow Jones to me is the leader, guys. So whatever the Dow Jones is doing, and that's why, like I see on this 5-hourly chart, the Dow Jones is actually starting to get a bit of weakness through here. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see this thing continue down from here and get down towards this sort of these sort of 28-30 levels, somewhere around about there. Once again, look at this hourly chart. You can see how this hourly chart is starting to. Let's go back to that 5-hourly chart for a minute. And I know that I'm jumping around a bit here, but I'm just trying to get these proper lines through here. We're definitely at a level of short-term support level through here. So that's what's going on through there, guys. Look at this hourly chart. Once again, if we do continue rolling over from here, guys, we continue to sell off, we're probably likely to continue down, and then we're likely to continue down. But on that daily chart, once again, on a short-term basis, look what we have here. Little X marks the spot here. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see a bit of a drop here. Then that's going to be really, really interesting, right? Because it's going to be so, okay, what's going to happen here, right? Because the reason why it's interesting is if we start to have a look at this, the first thing that I notice here is that we're actually getting a false breakout in itself. If I bring this up through to here, notice how we're actually getting this sort of false breakout level. Notice how that was the resistance. It broke back up, and now it's having a lot of problems where we are there right now. You can see how that there, right? So if I go back to my daily chart, notice how it had this resistance here. We broke back above, and now we've sort of failed, and now we're breaking back down. That's a false breakout to the upside, and we're probably likely to run back down to the low levels through here. If I go back to my 5-hour chart now, you can see how this lower high was right in conjunction of that false breakout level that's happening on the Dow Jones, and so that's what I see through there. And so we can see this market now. So I definitely see this continuing down. But what I was saying before was that it's going to be interesting to see what actually goes on from there, because when we do get if we do get a pullback through here, which I do believe is just around the corner, then we have a high, a low, a slight higher high. If we come back down here, it's going to be like a double bottom. So we're definitely going to form some sort of a channel through there. And it's going to be really interesting to see what's going on through there. So there's a bit of a detail. I know there's a bit of a detailed analysis, guys. As you can see that the better you can read the chart, the better trader you'll be. And when you start to layer that sort of stuff from a short-term perspective, say the 5-hour and stuff like that, depending on your trading. For me, I mainly trade, or I only trade the daily charts. So I'm looking for a good setup on the daily chart, and you'll be able to, the very first thing in the description, you'll be able to see what I look for in my setup. And then I'm also looking at the weekly chart as well too, to make sure that I'm looking at that big picture there. Now let's go have a look at Apple. Okay, so Apple, what I'm seeing right now on a short-term basis, guys, I'm definitely seeing Apple. Notice Apple is starting to round here, right? We're getting very weakness here. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see if Apple started to fall out of the bed through here and see a nice pullback, especially when we've seen such a massive move in Apple. So notice, look at this here, right? We're starting to round. See this rounding top through here? We're starting to round. It's actually more through there. Let me actually do that again. All right, actually, you know what? Let me see if I can get some sort of tool. Can I get where's that tool here? Right, there we go. All right, so I want to do this here. All right, so let me do this over here. I'm going to do this here. So there we go, like that, right? So let me see if I can edit this. There we go, right? So look at that there. See how it's sort of rounding through there? Actually, you know what? Forget that tool. Let me go to this tool now, right? Which is basically this level through here. Notice how it's rounding, right? We're struggling to move up, and now we're sort of squeezing up through here. So, but that being said, guys, we could go for another run through here. We just don't know, but it's the same sort of thing, right? But I am suggesting that we're probably likely to start to see a bit of a drop and then a move continue down. That won't be a trade for me because the trend is still very up. So this might be a short-term move. We don't know. Or this thing could just continue to break up and out through it. If you do break up and out there, guys, that's probably likely to be very short-lived in Apple. But if I was a betting man, I would say the market's probably likely to break down below this level through here. Once we do break below this level through here, then we're probably likely to start to see a selling move through there. But once again, guys, I won't be trading that because look at my long-term moving average. Look at that 52, still pointing very nicely. So I never trade against my moving average through there. But I'm just giving you an update on what I'm seeing on an internal basis on the weakness and strength of Apple through there. Now moving on to AG, right? So a lot of people were saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe AG got smashed when the silver miners actually had a pretty good move over the last couple of days. And the thing is this, guys, is that when you are doing your analysis, when you're doing your trading, you trade your analysis based on that individual stock, right? So if I'm looking at, say, the SILJ or the SIL, if I do my analysis and my analysis says it's a good time and my trading system says it's a good time to get on SILJ or the SIL, then that's what I'm going to trade. I'm not going to say, well, the SIL is breaking out. It's going to be a big move. So therefore I'm going to buy AG. Wrong, right? Absolutely wrong, because they are different markets. They're different things. Just because the silver mining index is going up does not mean every single stock is going up. So don't just buy a gold or silver mining stock because the gold or silver mining ETFs are bullish. You trade the chart based on what you are looking at. Okay, and so that's basically what you're doing through there, and it's so important to do that because remember, it's a market of stocks. It's not a stock market, right? Same for the Dow Jones, right? If we have a look at the Dow Jones or the S&P 500, the S&P 500 is looking completely different to then probably 80 to 90% of the individual stocks. So just because the Dow Jones has a down day or the S&P has a down, doesn't mean every single stock has a down day. There's been many times that, or especially through here, right? So even when we're going through this pullback through here, there was many stocks that I was trading that were bullish that did really well for me. Okay, so it's a lesson that you want to do, is that. And that's why, like, just because the indices are doing something, you don't want to have that to sway your decision. What should be swayed your decision is, does this meet my trading setup? Yes or no. I hope that makes sense through there. So the last but not least on the list is I want to have a look at the crypto charts and through there. So as I said before, guys, you must have a trading system that you really believe in. Again, that very first thing in the description below, click on that. Join me on my training today, and you'll be able to see all the details of that. But it's so important that, once again, guys, if you get a good setup on the silver ETF SILJ, that only applies to SILJ, not every single silver stock. Big mistake that a lot of traders make out there. One that I've had to learn myself for quite some time. So let's have a look here. Let's go to Bitcoin first. All right, so I'm going to go to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's pretty much doing nothing. We had a bit of rally up, pullback, rally up. We're having a little bit of a pullback right now. Lots of gyrations through here. Oh, look, we have another reversal candle here. Oh, look, we have... That's why I never trade candlesticks, guys. Look at this here. Oh, look. Oh, it's a bullish reversal. It's going to go up. Oh, no, it's a bearish reversal. 2 candles. That's why I never trade candlesticks. I use candlesticks to view charts, but I never use that as a trading guide. So if I look at my weekly chart here, guys, I wouldn't be too surprised. We're seeing that Bitcoin now is sort of got this level of major resistance where we are there right now. And this major resistance, and now we're having a little bit of sideways here. What I would prefer out of this is I'd prefer this thing go sideways for a month, not do much, and then start to get a breakout. If that happens, my daily chart is going to look very nice for a very nice bullish trade for myself. That's what I would like to see anyway, in a perfect world. That may not happen. So, but when we're looking at this here right now, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a bit more of a backing pattern or a bit more of a pullback out of this here. But I believe this is the start. This is the start of the next move up. And even if we do get a bit of a pullback through here, which may happen because we're at this resistance point, I believe we're likely to continue up and breaking up from here and continue to rise. And I do believe also, by the way, guys, I do believe that Bitcoin is probably likely to get to a minimum of that $14,000 level. It's done its projection based on the false breakout. So we had this false breakout through to here. Let me go back to here. Okay, so we had this false breakout, and I was saying that it's actually went a lot higher than I originally thought, but it had this false breakout, and this was the false breakout level through to here. Okay, through there. And I was saying that if we break up, which this was the breakup candle, now we're likely to run. I actually had a target of a bit lower than that, which is around that $10,000 level. Actually, you know what? 9,000 was a conservative target, 9 to 10. So I said probably around there. We did run up to there. As you can see, it did get up there. Now so this false breakout gave me the projection of at least 9. It gave me that. It actually ran up just a bit higher above that 10. And so we're here right now. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a bit more of a pullback out of Bitcoin. And we can see that that's what's going on through there. But I'm still very bullish. Bitcoin. So let's have a look at XRP. So let's have a look at that weekly chart here. I'm also very bullish on XRP. And I actually want to be buying myself. I think XRP is one of the best bets when it comes to cryptocurrencies right now. 1, because it's so cheap. And 2, because we're starting to see a significant reversal right now if we go to this daily chart, you'll be able to start to see what I'm talking about here. Look at this here. So we had this high, see this significant high point, then we had this significant low. We also had a very, very, very strong false breakout, as you can see. Came back, tested it, and ran up. But look at this here, a major what? A major higher high, even compare back to this here. So that tells me things are changing now with the XRP overall. And so if we go back to our weekly chart here, you can also see what that weekly chart is. You can see how that we had, right, that we had this high up here, okay? And then we also had this this high point up here, made the ultimate high point up through there as well too. So it's making a slight higher high. We've got a very strong move down, a very strong move up. So I believe any pullback through to here is probably likely to be short-lived if I go back to that daily chart. And I believe that XRP is definitely on the move to go and see some significant moves to the upside. So I definitely, my number one sort of cryptocurrency that I'm most excited about, which is the XRP. If I bring up, say, a long-term trend line from there through to there, you'll be able to see what I'm doing right now. So I'm there. You can see how I picked it up, resistance through there, and notice how, if I bring this over here, notice how with the XRP, you can see how that we had this resistance here, we actually came down and now we broke above this resistance. So now I wouldn't be too surprised to see if it came back below. If we got back down to this channel through here somewhere, like a big deep pullback, that would be a significant buying point for me. And in fact, if I actually bring up, let me just bring up a trend line through to here. So if we brought up, say, somewhere through there, so this level through here, if we got to pull back this level through here, that'll definitely be a buying point for me. And then I'll be looking to buy in XRP because I definitely do see this thing continue to rise and rally. So XRP, guys, for me is one of the best bets because we're definitely, as I said before, we have definitely broken up and out of this level through here. And even if I bring it down through to here, through to there, and possibly there through there, which is probably likely to be there. So somewhere around about there, as you can see, resistance, and now we're breaking up. If I go back to my daily chart, once again, you can see how, well, we're pretty much close to that now, aren't we? So, yeah, so that's what I'm seeing through there, guys, with XRP. I'm really liking it. And let me just go over now to, let me do the same thing for Litecoin. So let's go back to that weekly chart once again. And Litecoin is sort of the same thing. Notice how we've had this very strong move down, but notice how every single buying leg we've had on this downward move has been very short-lived. What I mean by that is that we had this strong move down, and then we had this weak pullback, right? Weak buying period, strong move down, or a weak buying period and a strong move down. But what's been happening now with this buying period? Notice how this buying period on this weekly chart is so much stronger. Not only that, but we have this high, or should I say we have a lower high. What is this? This is a higher high. If we get a pullback through here, this is probably likely to be some sort of change in trend. We had the false breakout, which is the end of trend indicator. So now if we get a bit of a pullback, I'll be likely to start to see this thing continue to rise and rally from there. So Litecoin's also looking pretty good as well too, guys. If we go back to that daily chart, actually, let's go back to that weekly chart. I'm just trying to check for major levels of support or resistance for me, guys. I can see that there's definitely an area where it is right now, but there's definitely an area through there that I would say that if it gets back down to there, it's probably likely to find a lot of support. So probably down through there somewhere. And then we're probably likely to hold and then continue up from there. So I'm definitely getting very bullish on these cryptocurrencies, guys. And I'm definitely seeing this thing's probably likely to start to see some move up. Once again, my best bet out of all these here, Bitcoin was a very nice move for me, so I'm happy with that. Again, I called the false breakout. The trade's been done and dusted. The false breakout did exactly what I was supposed to do. But the XRP is probably the one that I'm looking to get into because one, it's the cheapest, and two, I definitely see this thing has probably, if we let's go back to that weekly chart once again. We can see how this thing's been squeezing up. We do have a little bit of resistance where we are there right now, as we can see, right? There's a lot of resistance and support where they are right now. So once we do start to hold and continue rallying up out of this, That's going to be a very, very strong move. Go back to that daily chart right now, and we can see how this level through here, maybe bring this up a bit more. That level through there is definitely a long-term level. So once we do reverse through here and continue up, which I think is probably likely to do, then we can start to see this thing continue to rise and start to see a very, very nice move in the XRP industry there. So that's what I'm going through there, guys. Again, guys, my sort of the way that I trade, again, make sure you join that very first thing in the description. Click on that and join me on my next on my training session I'm running today. But I also do things based on investing and based on what I'm doing through here, right? So notice how I'm layering it, what's really going on, who's in control, are we in a downward trend, are we not? I'm not here to try to pick a bottom. I'm here to try to jump on a trend reversal or a reversal in the markets, just exactly like Bitcoin did, which was what? Say it with me. It was a false breakout, also an end of trend indicator. This whole move down and then a break up was the false breakout, which told me we're likely to see a move up. Make sense? So they're just some general trades that I do, which basically is general there. But most of my trading, guys, is strictly sticking to a step-by-step plan. And again, I'll share that with you on the training. So very first thing in the description, click on that, and I'll see you soon.